We turn our attention now to State House District 27, which includes a big portion of East and South Beaverton. One of the men seeking the seat as state representative in House District 27 is not able to be here tonight. He's the Democratic nominee, Tobias Reed. He's the incumbent. The Republican nominee is Dan Lucas, who is currently an information technology manager with a background in research and policy analysis. He's worked at Regents Blue Cross Blue Shield and Blackwell, among other places. Mr. Lucas is a former analyst at a major Cold War spy station in Berlin with the United States Army. Mr. Lucas's expertise has led him to be interviewed by the Wall Street Journal, by Fox News anchor Neil Cavuto, and he has also written a number of research articles on healthcare reform, Oregon taxes, and the Oregon budget. Mr. Lucas has volunteered with the Beaverton Arts and Communications Magnet Academy Site Council, local elementary schools, THPRD Park Watch, and he has attended the Beaverton Police Department's Citizens Academy. Thank you for being with us tonight. 2 minutes for your opening statement, please.
Thank you. So one of the things that convinced me to run was the number of deceptions in politics that I saw. And it started in the national health care debate last year, and then it also spilled over into Measures 66 and 67 in Oregon. And it really bothered me that the whole campaigns were being run through deception. And I thought, at the national level and at the state level, if people are basing their decisions, basing their votes on deceptive information, how are we going to arrive at the right answer? How are we going to fix a problem if we don't even understand it? So, in particular, here in Oregon, we remember last year we were all told that if we just vote for yes for 66 and 67, that will take care of the school funding and we'll be okay. Well, this year, it's a very different picture. And so I used my background as an analyst and as a researcher, and I looked extensively into the Oregon budget, and I found some disturbing things. And the biggest thing I found was the state legislature took $150 million from the schools and gave it to their pet projects. And that's why the Beaverton School District is having to cut their budgets. That's why our kids are not getting the programs that they need. That's why they're having such large class sizes. And after Measures 66 and 67 passed, they didn't give that money back. If we don't have people telling the truth, if the voters don't know what's happening, if the legislature doesn't know what's happening, how are we going to arrive at the right information and at the best decisions for Oregon?
Let's go to some of the questions that we asked our previous panel. One of them being, there is a projected $3.5 billion budget shortfall in the next biennia. What kind of spending priorities, what kind of revenue priorities, how are you going to, as a legislator, see how that is overcome?
First of all, speaking of deception, I just wanted to point out that what you and I would call a shortfall and what the governor and the legislature are calling a shortfall are very different things. So this is information from the state of Oregon. The yellow lines are the budgets up till last year. This red line is the budget this year, and you can see it taking off quite steeply next year. The shortfall is a huge, massive increase in spending. So the easiest way to fix the shortfall is to not spend more than we have. And that's what I would do, is I would vote to stop increasing our spending. All of us in my company, we've laid off people, we've taken pay cuts. I've got neighbors who are out of work, worried about losing their home. The state government needs to watch its budget just like all of us are doing.
What are the core services that you see the state focusing on, and why?
I believe that we need to prioritize our spending. We have a finite amount of money, and when we take more than we have, we start hurting businesses, and we drive employers out of business, or we drive employers out of the state. So I would think we need to focus on public safety, which includes law enforcement and prisons, and then we need to focus on schools. We can't steal money from the schools and give it to our pet projects. And then after that, we need to focus on critical human services, taking care of vulnerable populations, but not. And then everything after that depends on how much money we have available, just like the same way we budget at home.
Are you in favor of kicker reform, elimination?
I am in favor of leaving the kicker alone. I hear talk of, well, we need to reform the kicker so that we can build a rainy day fund. Well, here's the problem with a rainy day fund when you live in Oregon. It rains all the time. And they built up these rainy day funds, and then within 1 year after the session where they created those, they'd raided that piggy bank 3 times. And by the end of this biennium, those piggy banks are going to be near empty. If you give these people money, they will spend it. We do not need to keep more of taxpayers' hard-earned money.
Well, how do you feel about annual sessions?
I think it's Mark Twain said he slept easier knowing the legislature was not in session. And at this time, I would not be for annual sessions.
Okay. Let me ask you a question. Having been an observer of the legislature over the last several biennia, it seems that there is very little agreement among some of the individuals on either side of the aisle about anything. How can you really get anything done if you don't have people who can talk to each other?
That's a very good question. And this is something I ran across recently that was very interesting to me. I think what we need in the next session, we have serious problems here in Oregon, and we need people who are willing to be independent thinkers and independent in their votes. And I found a staggering thing. There is a Democratic supermajority in the legislature right now. And this is according to the Oregonian. The Democratic legislators voted along party lines 98% of the time. There's no independent thinking there. That's a machine. Republicans, on the other hand, across the board, voted with their caucus along party lines 83 to 85% of the time. So there is one party that's a lot more willing to work with the other side. And that's my answer.
What policies would you focus on to create more stable family wage jobs in Oregon?
I think the single biggest thing would be to rein in the growth of government. The more money we take from businesses, the more money we take from individuals, the more jobs we steal from the economy, the more people we drive into other states. And until we get the spending in control, we're not going to get our economy back on its feet.
There are a lot of times when the legislature passes a bill that requires cities and counties to perform some kind of function, to perform a service, or to provide a service. Oftentimes that comes at great cost to the cities and the counties, but the legislature doesn't seem to really understand that the cities and the counties have tight budgets too. They call these unfunded mandates. How do you feel about unfunded mandates, and should the legislature be doing that to our cities and counties?
I don't think they should be. Just like I think it's wrong when Washington, D.C. does that to Oregon, I think it's wrong when the state does that to counties and cities. It's unconscionable. It shouldn't be done.
Are you ready for your closing statement?
I am.
All right. Thank you.
I'm not a career politician. In fact, probably a year and a half ago, the biggest thing I ever did was vote. And I try to follow the issues and everything. But the changes and these tough times in the last year and a half got me motivated enough to get involved and to get up here and to run for the legislature. And I'm asking for your vote because I'll go down there, and I'm not a good politician, but I will be a good legislator for you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Dan Lucas.